At present in South Africa, more than 40% of the livestock, such as cows and sheep, belong to rural farmers, which make up to 80% of the rural population in the country. High mortality rates and lack of traceability means that less than 5% of these livestock ever make it to the commercial market. This means these farmers are missing out on a golden opportunity to improve their lives and the lives of those around them through the effective farming of their animals.
Before I met Farm Searcher, my cattle were so very bad because we were not dipping. We were maybe dip once a year. The bloatics were so many. They usually die during dry season winters.
Enterprise Development was formed as a company within the Farm Secure Group to actually start rural development on its own, and it's a focused company that's only doing development in the rural areas. Most probably 80% of all the people in the rural areas got some form of livestock. The challenge, however, was to develop a model that actually could touch every person, every livestock owner. If he got 2 livestock or 200, doesn't really matter.
What started us on the road is we got involved with a number of farmers who used to catch a taxi into MVW here. They'd come in and try and get advice from us. Often it was very difficult to prescribe medication, as a vet would normally have to look at the animal. In our situation, we'd have a guy who would come in and say, look, his animal is sick. You wouldn't be able to know if it was sick because it had fallen in a hole and broken its leg, or if it had red water, or if it had no teeth and just couldn't eat anymore. So it became very difficult for us to actually analyze, but we realized there were a lot of the farmers, particularly in the surroundings here, who are very good stockmen, passionate about their cattle. It's a strong portion of their wealth and security. It's sustainable for themselves to actually feed themselves, and they took it very seriously, but they needed help. And sometimes the taxi fee to get here to fetch the medication cost more than the medication itself. So at the moment the problem is the guys are in very diverse areas, they've got diverse problems, and unless we distribute to them, animal health care is not going to happen.
One of the biggest problems with rural animals is that there's no traceability. This means there's no record of birth or when vaccines, dips or drenches were used, if ever, which is why the commercial market cannot make use of these animals due to animal health and disease concerns. In 2011, Farm Secure introduced the mobile livestock units with the aim of addressing these concerns in the rural livestock population. The units provide rural farmers with access to affordable medication for their animals, hands-on training in effective animal husbandry, as well as access to market.
The mobile units itself are very specialized, kitted with refrigerated units, for instance, trained personnel. These personnel take a lot of time, put a lot of effort to actually go out into rural areas where some of commercial activity does not occur, and they actually render very important services to these rural farmers.
When Farm Secure came along, they had the up-end system to what we were trying to achieve, and we had the bottom end. So if we got the two together, we would have a synergy of a system that got healthcare actually moving, and I think that was what was most exciting for us.
We didn't have any system. I was born here. I didn't know anything. It's better when you put a mobile on that area. You are born on that area. You know the situation on the area. Rather than taking someone in KZN to deploy him here. Farm Secure tried to help the people because they didn't know about worms and ticks, and most of their animals were dying. Like me, we used to have 40 lambs born, but you know, maybe around about 15 will die because of worms. It's difficult for us to go and buy the vaccine in town. We don't have transport. When you get it in town, you must go to Citadel. We can't go there. Actually, they were teaching them how to handle the animals, firstly, because of stress. Secondly, they were trying to tell the people which vaccine to use, when, why. Let's say you want to inject this animal because they don't know the kg of the animal. Instead of injecting maybe 10 mil, we'll do 5, which is underdosed and it's not going to work. And again, they taught them about resistance, using one vaccine forever. At the end, it won't work. It's difficult. What they used to do, they just inject the animals forever. But now we're trying to tell them the only place they can inject is here. Because after that they want to sell, and then if they inject here, so it's not nice when you get into the butcher. Things like dehorning, castrating, you do one animal and show them how to castrate. Then as we go, they do it themselves. Because of Farm Secure, everything is cheaper. You buy what you want, you're gonna use. Rather than having 10 animals, you're buying 5 liters. But now, instead of buying 5 liters, you're buying a liter. It's cheaper.
When we met Farm Secure, I think it was two years back, he told us to dip regularly and with variety of medicine, and we used to advise us with some leaks that we were supposed to do during the summer and during the winter. After 6 months, 1 year, it was much better. My cattle were in very good condition. They give birth every year, which is something we never used to before. We never used to brand, we never used to take, we never used to even dehorning. But now we are in a pipeline to dehorn our livestock. I used to maybe to have 6 to 7 cows per year, maybe 1 or 2 died. But now I've got 16 young cattle now. They all survive because we deworm it, whereas before we never used to deworm with good medications. We had a training. It was started last year. The first module, it was about how to manage a farm, keeping records and stuff like that. The second module, it was about how to use finance to see whether we are running at a loss or we are making a profit. So we learn a lot about how to keep our animals in good conditions. It was very wonderful modules, very wonderful training.
Some of the big problems that we find, example, some of the rural areas during winter, there's no feed. Animals die because of lack of feed. So there are many aspects like felt management, good animal practices, all linked together that will actually lead them to become better farmers in a 2 to 5 year period. And that we actually do by training. We feel that, we've had a lot of support from rural farmers in terms of what the actual mobile units have carried out thus far. We also find that we have already enhanced some of the livelihoods of rural farmers. You can pick that up from some of the previous interviews that we've had with them. These are true related stories, people that have been out there for quite some time, that haven't received any type of support. And once the vehicles have actually gone into their areas, we find they've already increased livestock numbers, they've decreased mortality rates, increased conception rates. We also help them to actually link some of their livestock sales into commercial market. We also have transferred skills, so they understand the basic knowledge on how to treat their animals.
If the emerging farmer, livestock owner looks after their cattle or their sheep or their goats, and the parasites and the ticks and the diseases are controlled within that environment, the commercial farmers around them benefit because the disease spread is restricted. If we can manage the security and the stock theft situation around those cattle because of identifications and management, then the stock theft for the commercial farmers also deteriorates because it's all within that area. We've always said that our basic requirement is that we don't sell drugs, we sell animal health care. And I think in a very big way that's exactly what Farm Secure has done with us. Now if we can give drugs in a way that the vaccines are managed with proper cold chain, that they don't get allowed to get warm, which makes them absolutely useless, that the dips are used in the right doses, in the right areas for the right type of tick, that your internal parasites are treated when they need to be treated and not building up a resistance against drugs which is being diluted or not used at their right strength. Those kind of things are imperative for this traceability to actually work. Otherwise people are eating food that may be contaminated with antibiotics or penicillins or anything like that. So the distribution is critical.
Well, we're looking for animals that have a clean bill of health. We feel that the state vet should be involved and just to clear the cattle and see if they're free of ticks or free of any disease before they go into the sale. I think the more that's being sold out of the area, the better for the commercial farmers, as you're attracting more buyers to the area because they know that there is a lot more meat to buy here in our area than just a small sale. There's certain chain stores now who are going that way and are looking at the rural farmer to supply them with meat. So they are just as important to the meat chain as what we are.
It was very difficult to access the market before. We never sell in bulk, but Farm Secure come to our rescue because we're able to have a budget now. You know, when we have such a stock, we're gonna able to approach Farm Secure and Farm Secure buy your stock. We are no longer emerging farmers. We are operating like a commercial farmers now. I've been in Devon to get some jobs, but it was difficult. Then I come back. I keep my animals. Right now, I'm no more interested to go anywhere. I'm interested in farming only.
The FED mission is to increase income for rural livestock owners, thus supporting the vision of enhancing the overall rural economies and upholding relevant stakeholder values.